Okay, I'm gonna read my story.
Egg-chan is a man of many talents, is what I'm thinking. The look in his eyes gives me a spike in my heart. Something about him, his ambition, it's energetic. He is the most warming thing I have in my heart and my mind. Only if I was his. That would be an honor. When he strikes his eyes at me, it's like striking into the soul, like a ripple. I want to be led by something greater. Laias, sent to Polymania, impersonated as Pleasure, not known to Polymania, will arrive in 5 hours by horse to the poor town. Pleasure is the most beautiful. If a million ever loved her, I would be the last to remain. I travel distant empires and bear truth beyond understanding. I know that we are not far from each other. Laias, impersonated as Egg-chan, sent to Polymania in 5 hours. Egg-chan's love is fake. Polymania wrote these words in secret. Egg-chan is a man of dignity, world famous. He is rich in his ways. He is quiet 95% of the time, but when he speaks, people know. Egg-chan is known as the bearer of knowledge, as many people ask him about things about the world, and he knows with precise accuracy. Writing books on kings, lost empires, and faraway civilizations. King Krumble has taken the throne of Cindercrest, a big, secure, and unstable empire. Egg-chan is in the library. Egg-chan in the library, where he spends most of his time. He is going to the royal palace, for Egg-chan is being hunted. Word got out Egg-chan was trying to start chaos inside of the city, he was caught with a girl. He was already the fiancé of Pleasure, the 20-year-old sister of King Krumble. Egg-chan writes, Egg-chan writes to himself, I am going to meet the king, I am going to meet the king. Polymania and I are dangerous? To who? Unknown. But I know my information is inciting critical thinking among the empire. People are less prone to manipulations. Less prone to the manipulations of Laias, who has the minds of the empire. The day before yesterday was the best day of my life, because it came at a cost. Pleasure is a disgusting pig, a cave woman, and her beauty only works against her in all ways. Egg-chan then goes to the king for an 18-hour dash to King Krumble and reconciles the unwanting of the marriage. Polymania is climbing a tree, high up, isolated in the village of Mistruth, which is her entire world. She does not have much. Climbing trees is one of the most fun things to do over there. She sees a man from the distance on a horse, coming her direction, not thinking anything about it. The man came, stunned. It is the royal messenger in purple, calling her name in specific. Nobody in her lifetime had ever come to the village of Mistruth. The land was a part of Cindercrest, but was a burden for all who occupied it, for it was no man's land, only needed for manpower. Thinking that from the speech and what happened after, she knew she was going to prison. But the messenger was greatly sad, in pretend. The 2 writings were given to Polymania. She is heartbroken. She goes to an abandoned house in the forest, reads it in the multitudes, and cries in the night. Laias, the mastermind behind the empire. The safety flows in her. She is democratic only in the ways of a tyrant. The people listen to her. Whoever questions her is crazy, because she is only right. Laias is the voice of the king. Nobody knows what to color. Some color the minister of love and the divine vessel. Laez reads books on power manipulation and specializing in having the only empire out of any empire with an intelligence agency. She possesses information in duplicating the writings of average citizens. Deepest feelings. Having prisoners of war do the dirty work. She can see the average citizens. She could see. Wait. Oh shit, I missed a line. Empire with any agency, duplicating the writings of it. Knowing she can see the minds of she can see the minds of rebellions before they happen, and nobody knows she is doing this. King Krumble is mostly king by name, too forbidden to speak. Doesn't have any banking financially, for his financiers have delved into selfishness. The King Krumble fumes in his head, while being king on the outside. Laez does not rule with violence. Other people do the muting for her, without reason. When she is accused of crime, she condemns her own secret police, only for them to become writers and receivers of information. Laez owns her political opponents, making them be rash and violent in the exchange of money. She only exalts herself in every election. In towns deep within the influence of syndicalists, she gives the kids, the younger people, like in high school and college, tags to snitch on each other, and it can be redeemed if 2 or more people say this person's rebelling, or if they can get writings that they are inciting violence. The money of the empire goes to the bankers. All of it. Every business is owned by a banker in a fake name of somebody who no longer exists. They work together. This form of power is kingless. Rather, it is an ideological oligarchy unable to prove guilty. Egg-chan rides on his horse, thinking of these things in the night, thinking about his service to God, the ending of Laez's grip, the love for Polymania, and the meeting with King Krumble. Egg-chan knows the corruption of the empire. 2 days ago, Egg-chan made a speech inside the second largest city in Syndicist, Mind Race. It started as a group of followers. Egg-chan is going to be going into Egg-chan is going through his memory. 50 people who had read his books had disdain for Laez. The followers of Egg-chan were in opposition, not hated, not loved. Laez just wanted them invisible. People of Syndicist, I stand here as a servant to God. Egg-chan, the words I say are ones that cause death. The truth is more important than life, for you heard it. We have met the false conclusion that safety flows through Laez, yet she has been one who crushes the wrong thinkers, calls herself democratic, while manipulating newspapers, our financial institutions, our culture and our leaders are falling for it. A once great nation, ruled by a king, who had power and a diversity of ideas. Think about it. Anyone who reads the newspaper has sworn loyalty to Laez? And we call the news showing both sides? Or that the people who don't read the newspapers are quick to get criminal charges of stuff like violence and grapes. People gathered in the hundreds. Some threw food at him, and some mocked. But it would not be long until the garrison would have to deal with Egg-chan. Have you seen your kids or friends receive large sums of money from unnatural causes? This is because they assign people to snitch on anyone who can potentially think differently. Laez did not conquer your mind through military. Rather, she teaches the history in a way, showing all the bad that she never did, ignoring the history of people like Jesus and Socrates, men who died for thinking differently. Laez put in saying that made us afraid of her own thinking. She made us. That somehow no wrong. That was somehow no wrong despite her opponents disappearing for our letters and books in different spots. Have you ever seen your letters or books in different spots or taken away at night? Even when we watch these thieves, they talk about our safety and how it helps for the greater cause. The banking elite has plunged our nation to economic slavery. They get 1/3 of all our money, while returning nothing to us, and teach our youth to question nothing and comply with the social norms. Upon learning this, my feelings, like you, never wanted to believe this either. It is the truth. It is there. I cannot ignore it. It is my job, a leader uniting the people on all fronts. We will destroy evil. We thought Lias was unstoppable. We thought Lias would dominate the world, that her poison would affect the world globally. Rumors of war have been spoken, and we will give them war. United in Christ, thus we liberate the minds of the people, not forcing thoughts, as God gave us free will, and a liberation from the banking elite that works us to limits exceeding our capabilities and fatigues us ever to uprise. I wish you had all the best in your doings. Now the crowd reached 12,000 people, having to crunch into buildings, and writers writing the speech and spreading the word. This is also the day Egg-chan met Pelomania. After the speech was chaos. Fighting happened, and the garrison of the city split and fell after a short battle. Egg-chan was talking to the people, telling everyone what he knew, families, friends, and workers. Egg-chan had to flee the city center, go to the outskirts, where he could go under detection, while riding a horse, to conspire a deal with a man named Cortez. The light came into Egg-chan's eyes. In the darkness, there was a girl petting a stray dog. He only sees the shadows. It was Pelomania. She didn't even know who he was, but she knew that there was a speech she heard only parts of, and she had to be under the stage just for safety. They didn't realize and they didn't say anything to each other for seconds. As they saw each other's mystery, her being destabilized, Pelomania closed off and shy. She is curious but guarded. Tries to act normal. Asks, "Is it true?" What, is it true? I don't know how to... Egg-chan had met the most dangerous men, who were only known as myth, but his courage changed shape toward Pelomania. She looked at him like he was a question. One of the first times since childhood, someone didn't see him as wise or renowned. It took 10 seconds for Egg-chan to respond. He said, "The truth is in the hands of the powerful has been in the hands of the powerful for too long." She was slightly ignored by his wise energy. Tries to focus on the dog more. She says, "Sounds like something you practiced." He says, I observe in the shadows and strike at the most opportune time." She laughed and said, "Do you talk like that naturally?" "Do you talk like that naturally?" I don't know, question mark. Egg-chan, in his aura, smirked and said, "Unfortunately." Egg-chan sees Pelomania, turn her head fast. He sees it. They heard shouting and the police. They hid, sitting by each other quietly, screaming, "Come out! Anyone who does not comply will be punished." It passes. The dog nearly starts going straight away, almost revealing them in the dark, but comes back into Pelomania's dress. She said, "He doesn't like you. He survived the streets. I trust his judgments." She smiled, then took it back, thinking Egg-chan could be powerful. She said, Do you know who spoke? In curiosity, he said, I see him in the bird's eye view on calm waters. She said, the one everyone was shouting about? Egg-Chen said, yes, calmly. Yes, calmly, and with humility. She said, people were fighting because of you. People were fighting because they've been lied too long, being lied to for too long. And that still sounds like because of you. It's just the will of God. They made eye contact. Egg-Chen hadn't seen someone like her. She was special. He asked, what's your name? She said. She hesitated. Polymania. He repeatedly calmed it. She repeated it calmly, not claiming it, but like he was trying to remember it properly. Polymania. She looked away fast, suddenly embarrassed by the sound of her own name in his voice. You don't have to say it like that. Egg-Chen says playfully. Like what? He said having fake nervousness. She says, I mean, like it means something. Egg-Chen said, does it not? He said teasingly. She thought as petting the dog's fur. Not to people like you. A person who made the city fall in just words. Egg-Chen started to calculate. He saw himself as a man of God who could actually take down Lias with just his words. If he can, and then he says, I didn't envision the city falling. Whatever it was, she interrupted him and says, You knew you could do it. Egg-Chen was silent, and he thought to himself, my intelligence is... And he thinks to himself, my intelligence has never discovered this part of the map. I know it. I may trust God. Polymania noticed the silence, softened a little, and though she tried to hide it, I only heard parts, she said. I was under the stage when people started rushing. Someone told me to stay there. Were you hurt? Egg-Chen said mistakenly in his head. He thought he messed up. She looked surprised. No. Good. It was simple words, but made her feel strange. Not uncomfortable. Exactly in a way she was not used to. You asked that like you know me, she said. I see as God intended someone. I don't know you. Then why care? Egg-Chen said. Then why care? She said. I see. Oh shit. Egg-Chen looked at the dog, then back at her. Nobody should be left alone in fear. Polymania held the gaze for half a second too long, then looked down. You really talk like a book, and you really avoid answering questions. Her eyes snapped. I do not. Yeah, you do. Maybe I just don't like questions. That's uncomfortable. I live by them. She almost smiled again. There's something odd about him. There's something odd about him. She had expected someone louder, sharper, and maybe a little bit more proud. She was tired, dusty, and strangely gentle, petting the dog. Not knowing he was going away. Are you running away? She asked. For the moment. That sounds cowardly. Is it cowardice if you run towards what you must face? I'm running toward it. Toward what? A meeting. According to my path. Polymania said, You should not joke about that. You're right. He did not argue. That bothered her. Made him harder to dislike. The dog nudged her hand. She looked relieved to have something else to focus on. He's hungry, she said. Egg-Chen glanced at the dog. He understands politics better than most kings. She gave a small laugh before she could stop herself. Egg-Chen heard it, and something in his expression changed. Not triumph, not pride, but quiet wonder. Egg-Chen, Polymania noticed and immediately looked away. Her face warmed and said, You're very strange. So I've been told. By many people? By the honest ones. The door opened near, and torches ablazed. It was the police. She asked, Do you have to go? Egg-Chen said, Yes. Good. I mean, not good. I mean, you should if they're looking for you. Egg-chan smiled. That was a kind dismissal. It was not kind. No. No, it was practical. Thank you for being practical, Palmania Mistrute. She looked down and smiled upon hearing her name, and somehow he knew where she lived. Egg-chan's final words. Many men want me dead now. It's the cost of the truth. She replies, then be careful. Egg-chan, thinking of this on his way, thought how he was so lost in the interaction, what to say, so lost in his ways. Egg-chan never felt lost. How Polymania didn't like Egg-chan for how funny or charismatic he may be, but he loses in that. He knows it. But about his hero's journey with God. Egg-chan arrives at the palace and sees 2 guards at the gate. The guards will not let him in. Egg-chan knew that the guards were unaware of his crimes. So with the money and the royal passing he had gotten from Cortez, they allowed him into the palace. Egg-chan's time was little. He had dashed for 18 hours. Some other messengers were on their way to deliver the news. He had 2 to 3 hours before the messengers would come and tell the city about the uprising. Egg-chan walks, red carpets, beautiful young woman playing violin and piano, strong men as the bodyguards. Egg-chan says to himself, my unmatched perspicacity coupled with sheer infatigability will make me a feared opponent in all realms of any human endeavor. In murmuring, and I allow manipulation to find out where my enemy want me to go, and I use my mind to break the trap and punish the perpetrators. King Crimble is tired, angry, and trapped. He recently turned 40. He wants to look powerful, but Egg-chan knows he is isolated and has no other options. The guard says, drop all your weapons. Egg-chan says, do you want my sword, my knife, or my opinions first? King Crimble says, Egg-chan, you have come at a convenient hour. Egg-chan says, Majesty, I assure you, the hour is far more convenient than you currently know. Crumble says, you have come for my sister? Egg-chan says, I've come about your empire. Your sister is simply standing in front of it. I thank you for allowing these words to exchange into existence. Crumble says, let's begin with this. What about pleasure is on your mind? She has missed you greatly. I reckon you are euphoric to see her. Egg-chan says, unfortunately, that's a disaster set by your own mind while I was gone. Where do I play in this? Careful, she is my sister. Then I will speak with caution due to the royal bloodline, for honesty due to a man who survives it. The honesty due to a man who survives it. I actually don't really understand that line. Like, I wanted to make a joke about the royal bloodline, but didn't know how to. Crumble said with a tone of disappointment, you do not wish to marry her? Egg-chan said, Majesty, I'd rather debate 3 fools until sunrise than say aloud what her presence does to a man. If I touch her, I fear it for the rest of my life as a stain to my dignity. And Crumple said, in confusion, that's bad. Your Majesty, I have studied collapses of empires with warmer features. Crumple chuckles. You speak boldly for a man refusing the king's sister. Egg-chan, thinking about how he's going to manipulate the king, says, I refuse the marriage, not the dignity of your house. Pleasure deserves a husband who sees her as a blessing. I would make a poor liar, and worse, a miserable groom. That answer changed the room. Crumple, amusement faded into something more serious. You dislike her? Crumble asked. Egg-chan responds, I do not hate her, but marriage without truth becomes another prison. Your Majesty has already has enough of those in the Empire. Crumble looks toward the maps. You mean Liaz. Action is excited. I do mean Liaz. Or, I do. Good, Crumble said quietly. Then we are speaking of the real marriage. Egg-chan confused, not wanting to assume anything. The real marriage? Crumble looked at him and said, the one between my throne and her control. Egg-chan's face became still. Then you know. I know enough to hate it, not enough to prove it. Allow me to be peaceful. That is why you are here? Egg-chan got the letters and notes. Forged letters, false business names, payment of obedience in schools, names of missing men still owning companies. Liaz has built an empire underneath your empire. End quote. Crumble took Egg-chan's papers. What happened in Mind Race? Egg-chan watched closely for any body language that could help him. Your messengers are late. How late? 2 to 3 hours. Crumble's jaw tightens. Tell me. Mind Race heard the truth 2 days ago. The crowd reached 12,000 while I gave a speech. Writers copied the speech, and the garrison split and fell after a quick battle. The city was hunting me for unknown reasons, although my followers won. I think the army took back the city by now, and Liaz will have the justification to do any violent crime she wants. Crumble closes his eyes for a second and says, so it has begun. Only today has it become visible. Crumble says in a deep voice, and would you help me take her down? I would help you take back what it was yours to protect. And in return? Egg-chan gave a small smile. Release me from pleasure. I intend marriage with another woman. I'm afraid to say her name. From Misroot. That's besides the objective. I want enough riches to fund my inquisitive nature. Crumble said, and what happens if we lose? Then I was insane, Your Majesty. May I write in my records with your permission? Crumble looked at the evidence. Wait, may I give you my records? Do I have permission? Crumble looked at the evidence, then at Egg-chan. Very well. I speak honestly. You help me break Liaz's grip, and I'll force you not to marry Pleasure, and fund all your adventures. And you understand that this can get us both killed. And yet I came, said Egg-chan. Why? Because the mystery of death is slightly better than the wedding. Crumble stares at him sternly. Egg-chan says, am I being too honest? Egg-chan says, laughing in confusion. Slightly. Egg-chan says to King Crumble, I think I have a plan. Yeah, what's the plan? I didn't want to hear it either, but my calculations told me. Crumble eagerly said, what is it? Egg-chan says, yeah, we're cooked. They both laughed. Egg-chan leaves the palace before this, he gives a note to the king of the plan to evade the guards ever hearing the plan. You must make a speech and flee the city. You must make a speech and flee the city. I'll make neutrality with Pleasure, and go to Cortez, and go to in his hands. We have 2 to 3 hours. Egg-chan goes to Pleasure's house. She is breathless to see him. Pleasure takes Egg-chan into her house. Egg-chan didn't speak. You look tense, she said. I thought you would have enjoyed being with your future wife. Egg-chan glanced at the door. I usually enjoy doors with exits. She moved a step closer and says, You always hide behind jokes. Agchan says, Only when danger is wearing perfume. Pleasure smiled, comes at him provocatively, and says, uh, Only when danger is wearing perfume. Pleasure smiled. Wait, and no, she smiled, provocatively going towards him. Am I danger now? Eggshen said, Proverbs 5 verse 3 to 5. For lips of a strange woman are like drops of honey. Her mouth is smooth as oil, but the end is bitter, and is extremely bitter, and as sharp as a two-edged sword. Your house is goes to the way of hell, going down to the chambers of death. Pleasure, after hearing the words of God, stays in her lust. Does that mean you're guilty? Maybe I don't want to do any explaining. Wow, I'm not persuaded. I just don't want you. Then be persuaded. Are you? Barely. This is why I shall leave before I recognize myself. The Lord says in 2 Timothy 2:2, Flee also youthful lusts, but follow the kingdom with faith, charity, peace, with them that call on the Lord of pure heart. Pleasure's expressions softened, but the teasing stayed. She said, Would you really walk away from me? Egchan looked at her gently and said, Yes, not because you're unwanted, but because you deserve a man that stays after wanting you. Pleasure confused whether to think it's an insult or a compliment. Her lustful smile turns into vulnerability. Most men do not care about that. Egchan says, Most men are walking evidence of free will, but become slaves to the wrong thing. That's why you're empty. She says, You're just impossible. Egchan says, I'm going to leave. I'm being hunted. I just wanted Jesus to be with you in the future. That you may find a husband, better than I. Then go, she said. Egchan bowed 45 degrees respectfully, something he had learned in a distant place. Upon his departure, they prayed together. Egchan then rides 20 minutes across the city to the park. Cortez has the personality of the anti-hero. Dressed in all black, sitting on a bench, he had just arrived. They knew to go to his apartment to plan. Cortez, feared, renowned, and known for emitting an energy that cannot be described, had owed Egchan a favor previously. Egchan was traversing the mist a long time ago, where whoever goes there and gets lost. It's known nobody escapes the mist. They crossed paths. Without food, Cortez's life was in Egchan's hands. So Egchan rescued him. Cortez says, Lias is bad for business, bad for families, and bad for breathing freely. That is enough reason. If she won, I would comply with her. I know how power works. I just play both sides. Mind race is burning. The capital is nervous. Lias is about to start biting anything that moves. And you came to me? Egchan says sternly, You owe me. Cortez, a mastermind. I see that Lias is powerful. But I trust you. You might be the only one to make it out of the mist. How about we put you in prison? As a gamble. What? Why me? Why do you propose I just be gone? What happened to playing both sides? Said Egchan. In worry, Egchan thought his trustable ally would betray him if seen fit. Cortez says, Why worry? What other lead do you have? None. I'll bribe the prisoners, double their pay. Those who don't comply with a bribe will be accused of a crime and disloyalty. Liars trusts me. Also, if they beat you up, you'll have scars, pretty attractive to the girl you love. And shackles will prove to the people Lias rules with an iron fist. You will give a fiery speech, while I lead the army of guards and bandits to inspire bravery among the civilians who have not. The bandits have not seen blood in months. Violence is the bottom line. This is how we overthrow Lias. Eggen says, "Where do we start?" "Turn yourself in." "That's crazy." Cortez said, "Name another lead you have." Not you have, name another, but not you have, but we have. So Eggen complied. No, not you, but we. But what we have. Okay. So Eggen complied, and there was only 1 hour left. Cortez bribed the guards and manipulated them into loyalty, giving 3 times what they make, to not kill, and to free Eggen. The ones who did not comply, Cortez wrote them down and brought them over to Lias, rooting them out for disloyalty. Lias fell for it, and the plan was set. King Krumple made his speech. He spoke loud. Most of the people had never seen him before, ever. He was a broken man, not like how the papers showed him. "I am the king, only by name. The forces of Lias and the banking elite have reduced me to an action toy. My ancestors would be sickened of me. I apologize for handing our nation to forces of evil." People mocked him, and they threw food at him. And the guard force captured him, and the execution was scheduled for the next morning at 8 o'clock. The people celebrated it some in enjoyment, some inside of fear. This destabilized the kingdom and made the people question the goodness of Syndicrest. Revolution was in the air. The royal messengers came. Lias heard about what Eggen had done in Mindrace and ordered his arrest. The only ones who know about Cortez are the guards. He was dressed in black leather and changed his clothes when meeting Lias. Eggen stood outside the prison, awaiting his arrest. They beat him, whipped him, and made his body like a piece of meat in how red it was. Eggen did not resist, only accepted it. Lias makes a protection order. Everyone must come inside the middle of the city and put on a necklace. Whoever does not will be executed. She spreads that these revolutionaries will unalive anyone who is disloyal to her, and that she's a blanket of protection for Syndicrest, saying Eggen's army killed over 100 guards in Mindrace, that the houses that were checked had the blood of dangerous sinkers to clear the house, as symbolism to stop tyranny. She speaks, "Citizens of Syndicrest, the Empire has been infected. One evil man, not worthy of life, spoke hate. They mistook the truth. They mistook poison for the truth. This will not continue. From this hour, every loyal citizen will wear the necklace of Syndicrest. Loyal to me, I mean Syndicrest, will no longer hide in the heart, but it will be seen in the body. Those who accept it choose peace, love, and acceptance for everyone. Those who refuse will have the choice to leave Syndicrest or the other option. Liberators will go to the house. Not a name or family will go missing. Not a son, a daughter, or a grandma or a grandpa will go missing. If your neighbors speak rebellion, report him. It's a loving thing to do. It's for their own good. If anyone teaches hate, report them. If they carry Eggen's poison in thought, do not protect them. The loyal have put nothing into fear. Only rot fears the blade. Tonight, Cindercrest will be purified. People were stunned. Lies had surfaced up. She is a tyrant. Nobody dared to say it. Many were still loyal, and swore their loyalty to her. Most people now knew. She ruled with fear. She was evil. Now it was few who followed her, but nobody wanted death. Few brave people rebelled, but it was too little too late. Egg-Chen sits in prison. Hours pass. The only thing that happens is Lias control tightens. Egg-Chen prays to God, "O God, my God, why have you forsaken me? Thou so far from helping me. And the words of my roaring, oh my God, I cry in the daytime, but hearest not. And in the night season I am not silent. But thou art holy, O thou best the praises of Israel. Our fathers trusted in thee. They trusted, and thou didst deliver them. They cried out under thee, and they were delivered. They trusted in thee, and were not confounded." Psalm 22, verse 1 to 5. Egg-Chen does not feel worthy of saying this. Egg-Chen was deeply sad. "Has Cortez betrayed me? Just to put me in jail? If the guards are on my side, will they make me suffer? What if Cortez told Lias told Lias my love and mistreat, Polymania? Has the king been executed for talking to me? Has the king's sister fallen into brokenness? Why does Lias prosper?" Egg-Chen struggles to get sleep in the night. Cortez knows he must strike. When the king gets executed, the sun rising. During the night, Cortez organized his bandits and even paid the guards more than 3 times their pay, alongside women to manipulate them further. One of his many dirty tactics. They storm the jail. Lias and the crowd are distracted upon the instability. Guards outside from prison were tired from all night long staying up, some getting drunken, and many of them being filled with guilt. The moments they are wearying is when they strike. 7 o'clock. Most people got no sleep and were in comfort waiting eagerly for the execution of King Crumple. Cortez ordered the men to clear the prison. No one resisted, not even the warden. The guards tried to threaten violence, teasing their swords and their axes, but none were brave enough to strike. He walked in all black leather, like a Spanish cowboy. He said, wrong morning to become loyal." Then his men took control. Egg-Chen was a shell of what he was. Lacked on sleep, lit up upon seeing Cortez. "Now we see each other as equals," Cortez said. He also sat beside him and said, "Can you stand?" Egg-Chen opened one eye halfly and said, "I was hoping to negotiate that." They left the prison in silence, while releasing and arming the prisoners to scrape by any fighting force they can pull, only having 85 ragtags with them. Cover me in something that's not rags," Egg-Chen said groaningly. "They need to see what she did," said Cortez. Leaving the prison, they saw a little boy. They screamed at him, "Come here!" The boy froze and ran, alerting the guards. A brawl between 85 bandits and a guard force of 200s fought. It was close. Many of the guards refused to fight, and they also switched sides. Swords swung, and the streets were filled with blood. The people know it's now or never. In the moment, Lias panics. Lias executes the king right then and there with a knife to the neck. The people fall into a brawl. It's ugly. until the king screams in agony, "Stop fighting!" And more people realize, the more they neutralize each other. Women, children, and old people are the first to scream, "The king is dead! Stop fighting!" All the bandits and the guards, 95% of them were all dead. It's just the people, Cortez and Egchan. The battle is short and underwhelming for how quick it ended. Everyone sits there in devastation, guilt, that they had just been tricked to betray their family members, friends, and loved ones just to serve a government. Egchan goes to the podium in blood for the people to see what they did to him. Laya stands there starstruck on the same podium as Egchan, losing the loyalty of the people she brainwashed. Once again, strikes the already withering king, and someone screams, "The enemy is Laia's!" and she sees the will of the crowd. Okay. Egchan knows someone must take the throne. Then someone says to Egchan, "The crown is mine. Thanks for being my pawn." Nobody had the right or ability to say no. The nation needed a king. Cortez smiled, thinking, "I just took the crown, didn't suffer at all. Yet everyone with power is now reduced to suffering fools." Egchan narrowed his eyes and said, "Cortez." Cortez looked at him and said, "Don't give me that voice. You wanted Laia's gone. She is gone." "No, if her methods are still standing," Egchan replied. Cortez held the crown and put it on his head. "This is not a prayer meeting, Egchan. This is a power vacuum. If I do not take it, a banker, a drunk, or a foolish priest will." Egchan got up and took one painful step forward and said, So your answer to stolen power is a faster theft?" Cortez smiled. "I brought your freedom. I brought the guards. I moved the men. I made ugly choices while you gave speeches." Egchan said, "Yes, now I want my payment." Cortez said, "I want order." Egchan replied, This is what happened to Laias. You just became the person you promised to destroy. Became a monster in the process of fighting one. Laia started off as a freedom fighter against tyranny. You think you won't be able to? You think you won't be the same? They sat in silence while the people tried to clean the city. Egchan breaks the silence and says, "In the mist, you had no coin, no power, no leverage. I did not save you because you were useful." Cortez looked away. Egchan continued, "I saved your life in the mist because your life is more valuable than what you could pay me. You could have spent years in the mist trying to escape, and maybe you would have after many years. Just like you are spiritually in the mist, cannot overcome your own lust for power." Egchan continues, If you take that crown because the people chose you, then stand before them and ask. But if you take it because people are too broken to stop you, you're not a king. You're just somebody who's kinda good at stealing. A bandit." Cortez looked at the crowd and the people deprived of faith. He would have only been king by name, no favor, just order. Cortez goes into an isolated room. Nobody knows what he thought there. Silence. Comes back after 15 minutes. While Egchan is talking to people, the kids, the women, the old people, the people who are confused. Cortez comes to him and says, "Fine, take it." Egchan is stunned. "Cortez, I saved you out of Cortez, I have saved you out of selfishness. You saved me out of love. I would have traded my crown for a kiss anyway. I only specialize in reminding men they are only men. Plus, crowns are terrible for business. It's a target. Everyone who asks for favors. Everyone asks for favors that I never wish to deliver. Egg-chan is announced the king of Cindercrest. The King Egg-chan and Queen Polymania, a royal baggage is brought to Polymania. She finds out about the Great War, and that the letter was a lie on the way. She finds out about the heroism of Egg-chan. The kingdom of Cindercrest was rooted in corruption. But the businesses went to real people. Corrupt banks were abolished by state banking. The currencies were also backed by gold under Egg-chan. And taxes with the lias were 33%. Egg-chan lowered them to 5%. In the city center is a debate. In every city in Cindercrest there is a debate center where ideologies and policies can clash to neutralize and to unify the people. Egg-chan sits on the throne. The court announced her. She was not dressed like a queen, same clothes from 4 days earlier. She was too poor for anything else. They ran to each other, hugged, and she said, "You look different." She said softly. Egg-chan showed her the crown in his head. He lowered the crown to their stomachs. They both looked at it. It's heavier, he said. She said, "Lonelier," she said. It struck him. Then he came closer. Then he came closer to her. They kissed, slowly. Both of them were silent in joy. But wait, what? Egg-chan did not. Everything became invisible. Egg-chan did not see the world in infinite wisdom. Only her. They kissed, slowly. Both of them were in silent joy. But when she put the crown on it, then she put the crown on his head, and Cindercrest was unified. Egg-chan wrote, "Oh, that's just an average adventure for me. Just a chapter in the lore book. I might be that guy in the final ending."